Today I want to show you a really strange, quirky museum in Pattaya. It's kind of just outside Pattaya. It's actually right down the back of Pira Circuit. It's at Siam Country Club, and that brings me to why I'm here. It's a Datsun Nissan Museum, and actually I just did a quick head count. There's 17 Datsuns and Nissan cars, there's 8 pickups, there's 1 truck, and there's 1 like old service van. So that's basically the museum collection, and it's Siam Motors collection of cars that they've built and sold over the years in Thailand. Siam Motors is the original importer of Datsun and Nissan here. They actually started, according to a plaque on the wall, in 1952. So that's like exactly 70 years ago. So really what we're looking at here is sort of most of 70 years worth of their history. Then in 1960 they built their first plant here and started producing Datsuns, and then later they started building Nissans, and obviously it's one of the major players on the market. It's always had a good 4, 5, 6% market share, so it has a decent chunk. It's well liked here, it has a strong following, it has buyers who follow the cars, so Nissan always has a good robust place. Siam Motors have been the importer, the builder, and run the dealerships over the years, so they are really linked with the brand completely here. The Siam Country Club is one of their headline facilities. It's a golf club, they have hotels here. It's a really nice laid out space in the countryside outside Pattaya. We're about 15 kilometers out of the city centre, so this is the ideal place to put their museum. But this museum is kind of a little bit strange because it's stuck down the back. It's open air, although it's sheltered, so it's like really humid here, not great for keeping cars, and it's really forgotten as well because no one comes down here. The cars are laid out. They've kind of taken different cars over the period that they've sold and put them in here, and they're laid out neatly, and they're all jacked up on axle stands, and they clean them by the look of it every now and again, but the cars haven't run for years. The paintwork's kind of fading, the interiors, the trims and the dashboards are kind of fading as well. So kind of like there's an authentic original feel to it. It's a very faded museum. It's really not quite a museum in the sense of the word. It's kind of 24 cars stuck in a corner when no one comes to it. It's more like a storage area. But it's really unusual, it's really quirky, and I think to find a Datsun Nissan Museum in Pattaya is pretty cool, and it's worth making a video about. I came here once before, about 7 or 8 years ago, and it's exactly the same. None of the cars have moved, none of the cars have changed, they've just got a little bit more faded, their paintwork. But clearly someone cleans, brushes up, pumps up the tyres, so they are maintained, and it's something unusual. You can just walk straight in. It's right by the side of the road where Siam Country Club is. Right opposite there's an old train, and on this side a plane where people come to take photos and take selfies quite often. This is just a few hundred meters away, but I say no one comes down here. They're not interesting cars, they're production off the line stuff. It's all pretty standard, mostly steel wheels, wheel trims. There's no spec'd up ones. There's a 200 SX behind me, but it's very standard, which is unusual to see a 200 SX straight out of the showroom. Usually they're kitted up and tuned up. So it looks kind of a little bit weak and a little bit feeble because it's not built up with a kit, and it's looking a bit sorry for itself. But it's still nice to see it, and I think all these cars are quite nice. This B10 Sunny Coupe from the mid-60s is obviously a very cool car, very nice pretty car, and it's still in very good condition, worth having a look at that. And the collection starts in the mid-60s with this car, with the 1 litre sedan, the B10 that they built, and there's also a 1300 van, like an estate version, they called it the van here. They all came out in the mid-60s, so the collection goes right through the 70s, the 80s, and into the 90s and the 2000s with a Nissan Infiniti Q45. There's a Cefiro A32. There's a couple of presidents, so they kind of bring it up to date. And all the older stuff is here, like this really nice white B310, a bit of a forgotten car, but it's in really nice condition. It's got a black leather interior. It looks great. There's a big Laurel sedan at the back in a bronze color that looks really nice. The only other thing I have to say is that I've come here on a day when it's overcast and raining. There's no light in here. The light really sucks, so I'll do my best, but the light is not great. You're not going to see it really very fantastic, the cars, but it gives you an idea of the collection. And if you're passing by, it's kind of interesting to drop in here and see Nissan in Thailand through the decades. And there's a shocking pink sunny here as well. When I said everything's pretty standard and normal, this pink thing, maybe it's a nod to the way cars are tuned and modified in Thailand and customized, but it kind of stands out because this place is pretty drab. It's a nice location. The pickups are laid in an arc round like a little lake and under a cover, and these cars are all sort of laid out in 2 or 3 rows in the under shelter here, and there's a couple more cars on my right just out of sight. So what I'm